All right, everybody, I am here at GenCon 2015 with lead developer Mark Wootton for Doomtown Reloaded. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm doing good, thank you.
We're here at day 4, so this is the very end of the convention. Our voices, you can hear them.
Throats, yeah,
but we're gonna scream through it because there's some crazy, awesome stuff happening to Doomtown Reloaded right here at GenCon. So first off, it's been about a year since the game came out.
Yep.
It came out last year at GenCon. The first Marshall event is actually finishing behind us. The finals are happening right now, best of 3. How do you feel about the state of the game? How's it going? How's the community? How's the meta? What's going on?
I'm really pleased with where the game is. We're going to talk about the new faction pack, which you've just released, but that has come out and really created a buzz in the community. I've been very pleased with how the tournament's gone. It's been an exciting 4 days. Lots of different decks, lots of different ways of playing the game.
Which is what you want.
Which is what you want, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. A few surprises in the top 8. A few not surprises in the top 8, you know.
Yeah, classic.
Classic. But it's really good. The community's really strong, very positive. It's been a great experience for all of us here, both running it and playing in it. And I'm very, very happy with where the game is. Very happy.
Awesome. Well, it's really exciting. So let's go ahead and dive in. Immovable Object, Unstoppable Force, the new expansion that you guys just put out, introduces a lot of things. So what all's in this box, and why is it making Doomtown insane?
Well, so the first thing, I guess, is we've got 2 new factions, right?
You guess. It's maybe the biggest thing of the box, but maybe not.
Yeah. People were talking about, what's the right number? Is 4 enough? Where are they going to go with it? And, we finally able to answer that and say we're bringing in 2 new factions.
Yeah, 50% more factions.
50% more factions. We should have put that in the box, right?
50% more factions.
No,
in this box.
50% more factions. But and the 2 factions are very different. They both bring something different to the game and they expand it. It was no surprise to people that we were going to do something with spirits. We mentioned spirits in the original rulebook. Shamans and spirits were part of classic Doomtown, and it was something we wanted to feature. So we've come up with this group, which is First Nations, Native American. Focus, but it's not exclusively that group.
Sure.
But they do have a focus on spirits, and they also have a focus on using their influence around town. So they're the 2 things you're going to see. The spirits themselves
what's going on with the spirits?
Are quite interesting.
Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to do with Doomtown was focus the different types of spells on sort of different areas of the game and the metagame. So we wanted to kind of give them a clear identity. So, as players will know, hexes are kind of quite destructive. It's about what I can do to you to harm you.
It's directly anti,
yeah. Now, when we brought in the Blessed, we wanted that feeling with miracles of, help me now.
Yeah.
So they're about buffing, they're about protecting, they're about making you stronger. Help yourself. With spirits, what we wanted is we wanted a couple of features. We wanted it to be about locations, about the land. The idea that the
holy place.
The spirits were something that were linked to the land and to ancestors. And so the way we've represented that is we have a specific subtype of spirits called totems.
Okay.
And totems actually attach to locations. And then any wandering shaman who is passing can use the spirit that is on the location.
Wow.
Which makes head-to-head matchups for the Eagle Wardens quite interesting.
Really great, because the other shamans can use it.
Yeah, exactly. And as I'm sure we bring in the odd drifter shaman, it just adds a little bit more needle to the whole situation. And as you know, with Doomtown, one of the things is we like to create conflict points. So certainly the totems help do that. But they are interesting, and I think as the sets come out from Immovable Object and Unstoppable Force, you will see the concept of totems grow.
Cool.
The other thing the Eagle Wardens, the other spirits that the Eagle Wardens use and the Shaman use are the ones that create tokens. So they're pretty good at creating tokens in gunfights. They can create tokens that, so they can create, tokens that just have influence around town.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So they're using those tokens, I guess, as a way to augment their ability to use influence in the town. And their box ability is very much about, if you've got the highest influence in the town square. I call it box ability. I should call it outfit ability. That's going way back to classic Doomtown. Outfit ability.
Yeah.
Their outfit ability, they basically boot a dude in the town square to draw cards. And if they,
can they keep doing that, or is that a one-time?
Oh no, once per noon phase, right?
That's pretty good.
But as long as they are controlling the town square in terms of the most influence,
okay.
Yeah, they can.
That's wild.
They get benefits, right?
Totally.
Yeah. But
and you didn't stop there though. There's something else in the box that's new.
Oh yeah. We've got the Kung Fu, the righteous, the 108 righteous bandits.
You guys really went for it with this box.
Oh, absolutely, we went for it. Well, that I mean, again, that whole Kung Fu thing. It's and particularly in the West with the big Asian community that was there.
Yeah.
It's a big feature of the genre, right? I mean, it's important. Again, it was loved in classic. It's part of the Deadlands setting, and as are the 108 bandits, right?
Yeah.
And so we wanted to revisit that. We wanted to revisit Kung Fu. I mean, we've come up with a mechanic which I think is really evocative.
Okay, so how does it work?
So basically, well, the first thing is Kung Fu stands a few things on its head.
Okay.
They use pulls for various things, but they're looking to pull low, not high.
Okay, opposite of most things,
opposite,
right?
Yeah. The other thing is your Kung Fu ability adds to your value while you're in play.
Okay.
So although some of their dudes are low value to work
higher.
to work with things, their grit's higher. So their Kung Fu kind of makes them resistant to some of the spells, right? So we wanted to get that little feel that the power of the martial arts can help them be a little bit more resistant.
Sure.
But the second thing is the way Kung Fu works is there are groups of techniques, and they're grouped into Taos or Daos.
Okay.
And these things can combo. So you play a Dao, and it does something, and then there's a sort of combo condition on it, which maybe your dude has higher bullets than the other dude, and if you meet that combo condition, you can basically go to your discard and find another technique from the Dao and immediately play it, and then that's got a combo condition on it, so you can go to your discard.
So if you have like a huge discard, you could
you can start string, exactly. But you can only combo as many times as your Kung Fu rating.
Okay, so if you have like an 8, you can do 8 in a row.
Well, yeah, there's nobody with an 8. I think
what's the highest?
Kung Fu 4 is the highest at the moment.
So you could train basically 4 Kung Fus.
You could chain 4 techniques.
Now, does that include the original you played, or is it 4 on top of?
It's 4.
4 total. Yeah.
So 4. So the and I mean, obviously for us, from a design perspective, that's useful because we can kind of keep that as a balancing factor. So the majority of dudes are Kung Fu 0, Kung Fu 1, maybe Kung Fu 2. So they can use the techniques, but they're not the sort of grandmasters.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
It's the Kung Fu 3 and 4 that are the real killers.
And I mean, you'll be able to see, right? You can see your opponent's discard pile.
Yes.
So if you have a Kung Fu 4 guy out, and we're getting ready to get into a shootout or something.
You need to deal with him, right?
It's like, no, I can't. Like, there's 4 things in his discard pile.
Yeah. It makes that whole big game mechanic thing of, who won low ball, am I going to get the first action in the shootout? It's going to make that matter, which I think that's one of the really great mechanics in Doomtown is that the tighter your deck, the less you win low ball, the less likely you are to get the first action. And I think Kung Fu is going to throw another wrench in that for people because of the combo possibilities. But the Kung Fu players have got that same issue, right? That if somebody deals with the Kung Fu 4 guy or the Kung Fu 3 guy, gets that dude out of the shootout quickly, pistol whips them home or done them, suddenly they're on a much more limited capacity to chain.
Sure.
And the other thing is they want to get lots of cards in their discard pile. That means they're getting through their deck. As soon as they got through the deck, once they're shuffling up, there's a bit of a reset button there because the discard pile's empty.
Right?
So you've got that constant tension that you're trying to get the right thing into your discard pile, but at the same time, if you go through the deck too fast, So I think.
I mean, in the time of a single shootout, you could be shuffling the deck back
exactly.
Out, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you've gone through 3 rounds of a shootout.
Maybe you don't have anything left in your discard.
But it kind of it also has that feel that potentially, as the shootout goes on, the Kung Fu dudes are getting better, right? Yeah. I mean that is the dynamic. The guns start blazing, but once the Kung Fu guys get in close, once they get past the guns, and that was a conscious part of the thing, right? That wow, if I don't deal with these Kung Fu guys immediately and shoot them, they're going to get in and
you got to shoot them first.
And there's going to be a blur of action, and there's going to be guys all over the town square. So yeah, we've got that going on there, and because of the whole kind of pull and low dynamic and the adding value, I think it really mixes things up, which is going to be great.
It's a very different kind of deck, right?
Yeah, it's a different kind of deck.
So what from the box do you think is going to shake up the game the most in its current state, right? Like Fourth Ring seems really good right now, really popular, but like what from the box really is going to have? Do you think is going to have the most impact, and in what way?
That's a really difficult question, because I think Kung Fu is probably the most different thing. But I just think the way the Eagle Wardens work with, particularly the token generation idea that we're working on with them, as well as the totem idea, they're still spells, right? So they're kind of not as much of a mechanical shake-up as Kung Fu.
Yeah, but it's going to change things.
But because they're a new take on spells, I said to you, that the spells are all designed to work differently, but they also sort of work differently, kind of metagame effects. Sure. And so spirits are going to bring that to the game. Where Hex is kind of cheat cards between environments. So the Hex metagame thing is, I'm going to take the card and boot hill and put it in my hand, or boot hill to play, or play to hand, around, right? The Blessed are more a kind of a tutoring effect, but the spirits are more of a throughput effect. So although that's not radically different in terms of mechanics, it's just a new kind of aspect of the meta for the spells. A deck that's got really good throughput,
can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it can do a lot of stuff and shakes things up. So it kind of shakes things up in a subtle way. So I don't know if there's any one big thing. There's so much going on in that box, right?
All of it.
It's like it's all of it's a big deal, really, in terms of the way it's going to shake things up. I'd love to say I know what it's going to do, but I really don't. Right? I have an idea what it's going to do, but it's one of those things that you're always involved in when you're involved in the design of any game. When you put it out to the players, it gets played so much so quickly, and they find these really
crazy
cool and wacky things to do, which is fantastic. We've seen some great decks here, even in the last 8, which have been surprises to us.
Were there any surprise decks in the 8 that did something cool that you weren't expecting?
Absolutely. There was a Morgan Gadget deck. Gadget deck using Quarterman and Telepathy helmets to very good effect.
Wow.
And it was really unfortunate. He made one misstep in his game against a really innovative Oddities deck, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he made one misstep.
And that cost him.
It was it was certainly a big factor, right? Yeah. But the Oddities deck itself was really original. There were 2 Oddities decks in the top 8 for the Fourth Ring, and they were very different decks. Very different. One was I put lots of basically cheap guys out there and hot lead flying. So I'm gonna get a bunch of clowns into a shootout, try and lose by 1 hand rank, and then the hot lead's going to start going everywhere, right? Yeah. Whereas the Oddities deck that made it into the semi-final was more tight on value. But he was running 4s, 6s, and kings. Okay. So he was using Raising Hell. He was using Election Day Slaughter as a job to get things going, and Puppet, because he started, even though he got low values, he was starting Smiling Tom, so he's got a 4 huckster out there, so he can puppet the cheap dudes. Wow. And of course he came up against the Quaterman deck, and there's a lot of things you can't do to Quaterman, but you can puppet him. Yeah. So they were having to play around each other a lot, and there was a lot of back and forth going on. But they were 2 very original decks.
Okay, so you're seeing a lot of original stuff happening.
Yeah. We had two Desolation Row decks, and then we had 2.
Sloan getting in there.
Sorry?
I said Sloan getting in there.
Sloan getting in there. Well, a lot of people said, Desolation Row was a lot of people's favourite, right?
That's my favorite.
Yeah. And it's very active, right? It's like get after it. And we had a very get after it Law Dogs deck. The Law Dogs seem to be tinkering with their starting posses. They've got that experienced Judge Harry thing going on now. So against decks that are trying to start one key dude, they can switch in.
That's a problem.
They can switch in Harry at the start. Yeah, they can switch in Harry at the start, and immediately Andrew Burton, Grift, make somebody wanted. First action, send Harry over with the Gunslinger. The problem with that is the decks that are trying to do that as a kind of one-trick pony
Yeah.
I don't think it works as a one-trick pony. I think it's a good strategy
tool
to have in your deck against certain matchups, right?
Yeah.
And say, you know what, if you've got 2 hucksters, but what we're finding is that the huckster decks and the sort of more mid-term decks, the ones that have got the answers to that, either they just say, you know what, for the first couple of turns you can deal with somebody on my side of the table, I can build, but I can get busy by turn 3 and start opposing the job, or those that have got good shootout defensive cards. Having it as a standard start, I think, is too fragile. It's
a glass cannon.
Yeah, it is a glass cannon, right? It's we talked about glass cannons, right?
Yeah,
it's like the Sloan start.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. When it works, but I think the thing that I found interesting and enjoyable about watching this tournament over the course of the last 4 days now is that the players have very much adapted to that, right? Some people are saying, I only have a plan A, but most people are saying, you know what, this is plan A, but I've kind of figured out against some decks I need the plan B, and I've got to play a little more slow and steady. And
you can't expect to play the same against every deck, right?
No, you can't. That's a big thing. And as you ask where the game's gone in a year. I mean, one of the things that is obviously more important now is we've got more choices for the starting posses. People are figuring out, well, against this matchup I'm going to start this, and it may be only one or two.
Doomtown, right?
Yeah.
Is that you get to choose your starting posse every game, so you can change it based on the matchup.
Yeah, and listen, often it's only one dude or maybe 2, but that 1 or 2 can make a real difference, right? I mean, we saw in the Sloan on Sloan matchup, I think one of them started with Angelica.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Well, I got to ask you about that. So you guys are doing this crazy thing where your characters are dying.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So so right now with the release of Nightmare at Noon, which I think actually the official release date is Monday, and we've obviously released it early here. But there's two big gunfights going on in town at the moment. The Law Dogs and Sloan are getting after it, and Morgan has something in the fourth ring is trying to take it. And so what we said is, hey, these guys are getting after it. There are going to be some casualties. So we put up a list of names, 5 from each faction, which is 4 from the faction and an associated drifter.
All right.
And we said each one of the qualifiers, somebody's going to get aced.
Each one who qualifies?
Each one of the qualifiers, somebody gets aced. And then in the final, there'll be one additional person from each faction getting aced. So we put up a list of 5, and it was a free-for-all for the first 4 events.
Wow.
And then the one who gets the most votes from each faction gets aced. So
you vote in the tournament?
So every time you win a match, you get to vote to ace somebody from the faction you just played against. Now, if you're playing like what we call the headline match, so if you're playing in a Law Dogs versus Sloan match or a fourth ring versus Morgan match, you win it. You get a vote to ace and a vote to save. So you kind of get to cancel vote, right?
Fantastic. So you're like playing for your outfit, really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of, and we wanted to put dudes there that people would miss, care about. So Stephen Wiles bit the bullet. Literally. Then Elmore Ryan, the new in town attorney who hardly got time to do anything.
He had but a short time in town.
And he was gone. Angelica went.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fourth ring players are now happy because Bobo is no more.
Bobo died.
That's
so funny.
In fact, actually, we've got one extra casualty because when we tallied the votes up in the second qualifier, Stephen Wiles and Angelica both had exactly the same number of votes.
So you killed them both?
Oh, yeah. Well, right, see, you think like me, right?
Kill them both.
Do we flip a coin? But literally on every metric they were the same. There was the same representation for each faction in terms of number of players. There was the same number of votes for and the same number of save votes. So, we were confronted with a hard decision. I got the guys from the story team. I said, do we play nice? Do we kill them both? Hey, this is the Wild West. This is a gunfight. This is the Weird West. Kill them both. Kill them both.
That's super cool. I'm excited to see how that shapes the story.
And there's been some good ones. In fact, when Elmore Ryan died in the first qualifier, he died because the last result of the last round was a Law Dogs versus Sloan player, and the Law Dogs player won and voted to save Wiley Jenks.
Wow. That's so cool that players can have that kind of effect on the universe.
Because Wiley was literally the one who was going to die, but he pulled it level with Elmore, and if you pull level, then the guy who gets the most save votes wins, right?
Yeah.
Because people earn the right to save somebody, and so he had more saves. So Wiley just survived, which is interesting. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the Law Dogs, because their drifter is Olivia Jenks, which is Wiley's wife.
Yeah.
So there's a husband and wife thing there, and I think some of the players were like, "Oh, we got to kill one of them," and because that would make a cool story.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know. I think the marriage may survive. The marriage may survive the day. Sundown is getting close, and I don't think Wiley or Olivia are on the hit list. I think it might be Andreas. Obviously until the final game finishes, we won't know. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. It's so cool that you let the players have that kind of impact on the game.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, anything in the future of Doomtown that you're really excited to see over the next year 2 of Doomtown Reloaded? What are you most excited about?
What am I most excited about? So I think one of the things that's going to be interesting over the course of the next 3 to 4 months is we put a lot of work into gadgets. We've seen a gadget deck make the top 8. And I think people are going to start seeing gadgets and miracles particularly maybe come together a little bit out of certain factions. Law Dogs, obviously, right? Because the Arsenal is an interesting outfit, but I think it's an outfit that's setting itself up for the future, not one that's particularly strong now. So I'm going to be really excited to see where that goes. I'm always excited about the story, right? I think it's more important to some people than others, but I really like the fact that you are telling a story with Doomtown. You're telling a story when you play the game, right?
Sure.
I mean, you're building a town, and so there's a story in every game. But I'm excited. I think what we're doing with the 4th ring, and where the Law Dogs and Sloan are going, and with the release at Nightmare at Noon, the tension is building. And that is going to be an awesome aspect. We are really trying to tell a good yarn to go along with that. But I think for me, it's kind of not one big thing. The exciting thing now is because we've just brought these 2 new factions in, it's going to see how that diversifies and mixes everything up and changes everything. So I think for me, the next year is going to be. The first year was building to a card base where we can see lots of different decks.
And you've done that.
Yeah, even the same factions are playing kind of different takes on decks now, which is great. And I think the second year now, because we've got these extra factions, is about seeing all of the sort of exciting interactions and craziness that's going to create. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, I'm also looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for your time.
And
I appreciate it.
Good luck with this year. We'll catch you next time. We'll be back with more GenCon coverage. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.